You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
I am Adeola Omokibi, and the program you're watching is Sports Real. Keep a date with us.
Fans, they don't understand the rules or the laws of the game.
Hello and welcome to that program of yours on the NTA Sports Channel, Knowing Golf.
Hello, surprise, surprise. As you can see, it's another Wednesday night, and that time we bring you the news with an extra touch. But it's not your usual Fatima. Tonight, we will, as usual, bring you the Federal Executive Council meeting so you know what the highest decision-making body in the country is up to. You won't be disappointed. We'll follow this up naturally with what is in season, politics and political developments. We have stories on who is doing what towards sitting good in 2019. Water, water, water everywhere, or should I say flood, threat of flood everywhere. I think that is more appropriate. We have the stories and what is being done to save us from the menace. These plus health-related news, and you know it won't be done till we give you the extra information about what is happening in the business world. And we won't go until we give you some bits of happenings in the sports world and tomorrow's weather prospect so that you don't get caught pants in the rain without your umbrella or raincoat. That is the outlook on tonight's package. Welcome to News Extra. I'm Elizabeth Stober. We begin with the political scene now. Members of the governing All Progressives Congress have been tasked to not only avoid complacency but ensure that all those who brought Nigeria to its knees never return to power and reverse the will of the nation's progress. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this while submitting his expression of interest and presidential nomination forms at the national headquarters of the APC. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari arriving the APC national headquarters to formally put his name forward, seeking the party's nomination to recontest the presidential election in 2019.
I am taking this step with all humility, sense of responsibility, and an unquestionable desire to serve and protect the interests of all Nigerians.
The president formally submitted the expression of interest and presidential nomination forms to the national chairman of the APC, Adams Oshomole. He once again expressed gratitude to the various organizations and individuals who contributed funds to purchase the nomination forms for him, indicating high sense of satisfaction in his leadership and the desire for the Change Nigeria project to be sustained.
I assure them and the rest of Nigerians that if nominated and if elected, I shall continue to serve you to the best of my ability. Let me today appeal to party members not to be complacent, but to prepare, strategize, and win 2019 election. We must not allow those who brought the country to its knees from 1999 to 2015 to come and take us back
APC National Chairman Adams Oshomole used the opportunity to present to the President his authentic membership card of the APC as well as the membership registers for his electoral ward in Daura and Katsina State.
We are sustaining the change, we are digitalizing the change, we are deepening the change. We now have 50.6 million registered APC members across the country.
This, he said, is an indication that the governing APC has credible and verifiable basis to conduct direct primaries to elect the flag bearer of the party for the 2019 presidential election.
Before I am misunderstood or misquoted, it goes without saying that in spite of the fact that we have these credible membership register, it does not in any way modify or change the decisions of NEC with regards to the flexibility that was agreed to. The NWC will try to give practical expression as transparently as possible so that this party will not only be the largest, it will be the smartest, the most democratic, and the most cohesive.
President Muhammadu Buhari is so far the only one that has formally indicated interest to contest the 2019 presidential election under the APC, perhaps following the vote of confidence passed on him by the National Executive Committee of the party. In Abuja, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And from the pearl of tourism in Bauchi State, the governor, Mohammed Abubakar, is bracing for the call for a second chance in delivering the dividends of democracy to the people. While submitting his nomination and expression of interest forms at the APC National Secretariat Abuja, Governor Mohammed Abubakar pledged to consolidate on gains recorded by his administration in the last 3 years. Adamu Haruna Adams reports.
Amidst hundreds of supporters, Governor Abubakar arrived at the National Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress, APC, for submission of his nomination and expression of interest forms for his re-election bid as the governor of Bauchi State. Shortly after the submission, Governor Abubakar revealed the reasons for seeking re-election.
There is no way we can be able to complete everything we have started within a period of 4 years. As a result of that, we are seeking another mandate to enable us complete the projects we have started and do more for the good people of Bauchi State.
Some APC stalwarts from Bauchi State stressed the need for Governor Abubakar to rerun, adding that the transformation of Bauchi State should be taken to a logical conclusion.
This is the kind of a governor that need to come back for the second term because of the developmental programs he commenced and we want him to complete.
Looking at the caliber of people that went to the secretariat with the governor, that's a clear indication that he has done very well in the state.
In Abuja, Adamu Haruna Adams, NTA News.
Similarly, one of the APC governorship aspirants in Imo State, George Ezenna, says the party requires people with proven integrity and leadership qualities to occupy all elective positions on the platform of the party in the 2019 general elections so as to consolidate on the tremendous gains of the Buhari administration. Ezenna stated this at the APC National Secretariat, where he submitted his governorship expression and interest and nomination forms. Political correspondent Salo Abdullahi reports.
George Ezenna, former secretary to the Imo State government, says his belief in the ideology of ideas and issue-based politics that will entrench and sustain the positive transformation under the leadership of the governing All Progressives Congress are a driving force for his governorship ambition.
Well, because my state deserves the best. We deserve an organized person. We deserve a man who can start from where this governor has stopped.
He added that the only way this can be achieved is by party leadership and supporters to play the game in line with the party's constitution and the nation's electoral rules and regulations.
Aspirants are supposed to work hard. They should go ahead and work hard, showcase what they have, who they are, what they're bringing onto the table, leave bickering and leave off godfatherism, fight square and fair.
The Imo governorship aspirant was accompanied to the APC secretariat by his supporters. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
An APC governorship aspirant in Borno State, Idris Mamman, says his emergence through consensus from Borno South in the forthcoming governorship primary election in the state is indicative of the prevailing peaceful coexistence among the people of the area. This was the opinion of Idris Mamman while submitting his expression of interest and nomination forms at the APC National Secretariat here in Abuja. Here again is Saliu Abdullahi.
Coming from faraway Borno, Idris Mamman supporters came in avalanche, converging on the APC National Secretariat to accompany their preferred aspirant. This practically demonstrates the love the people of Borno have for the APC, especially this aspirant, who is in the race to represent Borno in the quest for Borno State to this time around produce a governor from southern Borno. A delegation of Borno elders who represent the 3 zones in the state, led by the deputy governor, believe in equity and fairness in all electoral processes, having identified Idris Mamman as a man who could champion this cause.
Therefore, I wish for my brother happy, healthful campaign and success.
Without unity, you can never have development in any setup.
We are optimistic and hopeful that the primaries will be conducted based on the principles of justice and fairness.
And this is a power shift. We decide to be together. We are Borno people, and it can go to anywhere, and we decide to go to southern Borno.
This course, the aspirant Idris Mamman says he is going to pursue.
We are going to run government of Borno State, and not for the south. I can clearly see that where Borno North and Borno Central will identify with Borno South and buy form. This is the first of its kind.
In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Still on the political scene, members of the newly inaugurated executives of the All Progressives Congress in Kwara State have been charged to work for a complete, united and strengthening of the party to be in tune with the national body. The party's national chairman, Adams Oshiomhole, gave the charge while inaugurating the executive members who will pilot affairs of the party in the wake of defections from the party and the need to re-strategize ahead of coming elections. Anthony Forson reports.
Bashir Omolaja Bolarinwa taking oath of office as chairman of the party in the state. National chairman of the party, Adams Oshiomhole, while charging them to see their new leadership role as onerous, was quick to remind them that the National Secretariat is open to them at all times for consultations, but first, their role in Kwara is of utmost importance.
In this case, you have all come together to reform the party following the effort of the former leaders to try to destroy the party in the state. Allow me, therefore, to congratulate you on this successful outing that you have been able to do on your own without external involvement.
He said the National Party is interested in success, hence it has extended the dates for their primaries in Kwara. Leader of the party in the state, Lai Mohammed, said it is a demonstration of the unique leadership style of the chairman, who is determined to carry everyone along.
Primaries, whether direct or indirect, at times will bring some bitterness, and given the special situation in Kwara State today, sir, we need to harmonize, we need consensus, we need to build ourselves together. This is the first time many of us are in the same party, as you know, sir, that it's a mixture of those who came from the PDP and those of us that have remained in APC. When we come back, we can come back here and tell you this is the offices we have agreed upon by consensus, right from House of Assembly to governorship. It's only when that fails that, would have to go for primaries.
He assured the national chairman of the unflinching support and loyalty at all times. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Now, each day brings Nigeria close to the 2019 general elections, and discussions on the need for voter mobilization is on, with guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria insisting voters must know that what truly empowers them to make a difference in governance is their vote. Lydia Sampson tells us more.
Voters' consciousness on their part not compromising their vote for temporary inducements are what discussants of Good Morning Nigeria say is paramount ahead of the elections. They also emphasize the critical role of voters in the 2019 elections. They urge the political parties to increase voter mobilization and create the needed awareness through synergy with other stakeholders.
To ensure that we have such unity of actions that will guarantee a peaceful and informed outcome in the 2019 general elections.
We want a peaceful polity. This movement will not like anything that will cause, disaffection, serious crisis at the end of the day.
The discussants who noted the keen interest with which voters are watching the movement of candidates from parties say it is at the end of primary elections that choices will be made. They were also concerned about more than 7 million permanent voters' cards still unclaimed.
In the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the Commission, all parties are equal. There are no small or large parties. But yes, quite honestly, there are some parties that will only field a couple of candidates, a few candidates, and there are others who will field for every position.
It is their very competition that will give the voters the options where they are going to exercise their preferences.
It was also the opinion of discussants that voters' apathy is getting low as they feel their vote will count. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
The political arena is agog with activities, a pointer to the 2019 electioneering year. One big issue for many as the poll draws near is that of electoral offences, such as hate speech, vote buying, thuggery, and so on. The questions, therefore, are how stringent is the law on offenders and how best to build a vibrant polity? Talatu Ezirike finds answers.
It is popularly said that every human is a social or political being, but there are those who are key players in ruling political affairs. The politicians. They are guided by electoral rules, which strengthens democratic culture for political advancement. There are, however, concerns over certain acts that include hate speech, vote buying, undue influence, political violence, and thuggery that contradict the electoral guidelines. This, many say, is overheating the polity as they advocate decisive measures for electoral offences.
We lack the capacity and the equipment to prosecute. And the Constitution bestows this particular function on us. At times, some of the people who want to offend might even be to prosecute might be our own staff. How do we go on prosecuting ourselves? This still calls for the setup of what we call this electoral offences tribunal.
There are weak structures within the political parties. We are going to put in a very, very good strategy on ground. And we're going to reduce this kind of stupid thing about vote selling and vote buying to its barest minimum.
But can politicians be exonerated from blames that give rise to electoral offences?
There are people that are desperate. They want to win election at all times and in any way. So when they come, they always use their resources or whatever, available to them to disrupt the peace process of conducting our elections.
The reason why we are where we are today is because nobody is being made an example of. This is the first time it's happening under this INEC in the history that the INEC is prosecuting its own staff. If you go to the field as observers, when you listen to INEC staff these days, you know what you hear? Maha no deo, please.
Well, the match for 2019 is in earnest, and the consensus is for the actors to play by the rules and uphold Nigerians' dignity, respect, unity, and progress for overall growth. Talata Ezirike, NTA News.
Now, it's trending on some national dailies and some social media platforms that INEC may postpone the 2019 elections due to anticipated violence. Is this another manifestation of fake news? Mayor Ogide is just back from the INEC national headquarters, and let's hear from him.
As the countdown to the 2019 elections progresses, the political atmosphere is also getting more highly volatile, and any unguarded utterance or publication can lead to the unexpected. So, when this publication on the alleged postponement of the 2019 elections filtered in, NTA News became curious. This curiosity took me to the office of the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC chairman.
It was a misrepresentation of facts, so we are not postponing. To be sure, INEC has no plan to postpone the 2019 general election.
This should put to rest this rumor, and the Chief Press Secretary reaffirms the Commission's determination to conduct rancor-free polls in 2019. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
Now, we're not done with the preparations towards a successful 2019 general elections. Ahead of the elections, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, says it is working closely with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and commercial banks to curb vote buying and illegal election funding. Acting chairman of the commission, Ibrahim Magu, stated this at a parley with media executives in Abuja. Mitaire Ikpen reports.
This meeting at the instance of the EFCC acting chairman is part of engagements to bridge the information gap between the commission and the media. With growing concerns about illegal election financing by money bags, Ibrahim Magu says the commission is working hard to ensure that the 2019 elections will not be business as usual. He said persons allegedly involved in vote buying in recent elections in the country are still being investigated and will be brought to book.
Before now, it was inconceivable for law enforcement agency to investigate the source of election funding of political parties and their candidates. This has led to gross financial abuses and the perversion of the electoral process. With our modest achievement in this area, I can assure you that our politicians will be more circumspect as we go into the next general election.
On the anti-corruption scorecard this year, he said the commission has so far recovered 106.5 billion naira, $1.6 million, over 600,000 pounds, and 25,000 euros.
All we are saying, let people stop stealing our commonwealth. Let people do the right thing.
The EFCC boss urged members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm and all Nigerians not to relent in exposing corruption wherever it exists, saying the commission looks forward to a time when the fight against corruption will be owned by all Nigerians. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikpen, NTA News.
In other news now, Chairman of the Presidential Committee on the Decongestion of Prisons, Justice Ishaq Bello, has warned judges of lower courts across the country to desist from introducing issues alien to the nation's law into their judgments. Justice Ishaq Bello gave the warning after inspecting prisons in Kebbi and Sokoto states. Femi Okewo reports.
In its previous visits to states such as Lagos, Rivers, Imo, Ogun, Kano, Jigawa and Kaduna states, the committee had observed that some judges were in the habit of giving remand orders on suspects without caring to include a return date, thereby bringing about an endless remand of suspects and an overstressing of the nation's prisons with awaiting trials. Now, another flaw has been observed by the committee in the judgment of judges, particularly the Sharia and upper area court judges. This is in the sentencing of convicts to fines and the payment of compensation and also the payment of cost of prosecution. Justice Ishaq Bello, who is also the Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, says such orders are alien to our laws.
There is no legal basis for such kind of orders. It's a cheat on the citizenry. It is unjustifiable, and this must be addressed. We had taken some steps before I left Kebbi State, and today I had discussed this with the head of court and the Attorney General of the Federation, and this has to be addressed, and it will be addressed.
The Minister of Justice, who was also on the team, said that the setting up of the committee is as a result of President Muhammadu Buhari's concern on the congestion in the nation's prisons. While the federal government, through the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, and in this case, the Kebbi and Sokoto state governments, provided funds for the paying of the fines of some of these inmates, the process of securing their release always takes a very painstaking process in order to ascertain the circumstances under which they found themselves in prison and the environment they are likely to return to if released. Close to 200 prisoners were released in the Kebbi State and Sokoto State prison visits. Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
National Security Advisor moves to sort out the herders-farmers crisis, find out who and who he has been meeting with, plus the flood situation. After these messages, stay with us, we'll be right back.
Hello, Auntie Kay. How is Atlanta? I'm just getting ready for a photo shoot. Got my makeup on.
Hey, Klaus, how you doing? How is Germany?
Hold on, 1 minute.
I haven't seen the containers yet. Oh, they are still in India.
Hello, Mama. Guess who's online?
Hey, Rajesh, what time is it in India?
How is South Africa, Mama?
Aren't you spending too much on calls now?
Don't you worry about it, Mama, because with Glow, you only need to pay 200 Naira a month, and you get up to 85% discount on all calls to over 200 international destinations.
See, I'm going to let you guys
Mama, I have to go now.
Right?
Time for the photo shoot. Love you. Bye.
Where's the photographer?
Hey, my friend. How are things going in Canada?
Glow International Call Slasher. Pay 200 Naira monthly fee to get up to 85% discount to call over 200 international destinations. Dial *777# to choose your plan. The largest data network. Glow. Grandmasters of data.
Bayes University is a fully licensed university operating since 2011 and has grown to have 32 accredited programs in 6 faculties. This includes computer and applied sciences, management and social sciences, engineering, environmental sciences, law, and basic medical sciences. The university also offers postgraduate programs and foundation courses in a conducive learning environment with modern teaching facilities and high-quality national and international staff. Bayes University graduates have either progressed into respectable career positions or have obtained postgraduate degrees from different parts of the world with distinctions. Admissions for 2018-2019 academic session is ongoing. Call or visit www.bayesuniversity.edu.ng. Bayes University, Abuja. Learn to live.
Here is Kellogg's Cocoa Pops for you. Kellogg's Cocoa Pops is tasty and nutritious and has 11 vitamins and minerals. I cannot think of a better breakfast for my children. Do you give your kids Kellogg's Cocoa Pops?
Enjoy Kellogg's Rice Krispies for breakfast. It snaps, crackles, and pops. Kellogg's Rice Krispies is tasty and is enriched with 11 vitamins and minerals. My family loves it. Try today.
So Clean, the detergent brand trusted by millions of Nigerians. For decades, its 30% concentrated formula has been trusted to wash faster, brighter, cleaner. So Clean with stain magnet technology. The advanced enzyme formula pulls trapped dirt out of fiber like a magnet. So Clean with stain magnet technology for even better stain removal.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
All right, kids. Today you're all going to tell me how you all spent your holidays. So the essay will be... Who did that? Who did that?
a new school session with great tasting Indomie noodles. Hurry now and get yours. Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the daring and invincible Louis the Mosquito. Responsible for 200 malaria cases all on its own. Is there anything that can kill Louis? Morphine! Presenting Morphine Power Guard. Its powerful formula kills malaria mosquitoes fast. So, get Morphine Power Guard.
Thank you for staying with us on News Extra. Now, the federal government has set up a high-powered interministerial committee to carry out a comprehensive investigation on the earth tremor that occurred recently in some parts of the nation's capital, Abuja. FCT Minister Mohammed Musa Bello announced this while briefing newsmen after the meeting of the Federal Executive Council. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that issues relating to the economy as well as the enhancement of the nation's electoral process were also discussed.
With President Muhammadu Buhari presiding, the Federal Executive Council discussed at length the recent earth tremor in parts of the FCT and unanimously agreed that the unprecedented occurrence be deeply studied so as to understand the causes and what needs to be done. This informed the constitution of the Interministerial Investigative Committee, with membership drawn from the Ministries of Science and Technology, Power, Works and Housing, Mines and Steel Development, as well as the FCT. FCT Minister Mohammed Musa Bello once again assured residents that there is no cause for alarm, as Abuja, according to reports, does not fall within a geographical area that could be affected by tremors of high magnitude that might lead to earthquakes.
I want to use this medium to reassure residents that there is no cause for concern, and as a matter of fact, within the vicinity of the Pape area, the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing will send in their experts to just do some structural assessment of the properties around there, just to make sure that everything is safe. But at some point in the future, when this interministerial committee looks at this matter very closely, we'll be in a position to really give full and comprehensive situation report to the nation. But for now, there's no cause for alarm whatsoever.
The Federal Executive Council also discussed the latest report of the National Bureau of Statistics, describing as encouraging that the nation's economy continues to grow.
The economy grew in the second quarter by 1.5%. But what is encouraging to Council is that non-oil has continued to grow, that the non-oil grew by 2.05%. And we're very encouraged by this because this is consistent with the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan objectives. However, Council were a bit concerned about agriculture as well as crude oil. And so we intend to intensify efforts in agriculture, which have been affected by some of the insecurity in some parts and some of the clashes, which are now being contained. So we expect agriculture to go back to the 3%, which we had been experiencing before.
In the meantime, 3 draft bills have been approved by the Council to be transmitted to the National Assembly for consideration towards enhancing Nigeria's electoral process. These are the review of the Constitution Alteration Bill 2018, Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2018, and the Electoral Offences Commission Bill 2018.
Arising from the commitment of the federal government, the need has arisen to enhance the accountability and the quality of the conduct of the election, to have in place a permanent structure that would be responsible for not only investigation but indeed the prosecution of electoral offenders, with a view to enhance the system by way of establishing a very good culture of the conduct of the election and ensuring enforcement in cases of breaches.
Justice Minister Abubakar Malami takes pride in the fact that the independence of INEC, Nigeria's electoral umpire, has been enhanced under the Buhari administration. At the moment, he said, the electoral body is not subject to the directives or control of any authority. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now to security matters. Governor Abdulaziz Yari of Zamfara State says the people of Zamfara State will always remain grateful to President Muhammadu Buhari for his intervention in putting a halt to the wanton destruction of lives and property by armed bandits in the state after several years of neglect in which the people were left to their fate. The governor stated this while recounting his people's experience when Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed, in company of some other ministers, visited him in Government House, Gusau. Anthony Forson reports.
We had never had opportunity from the federal government to have a delegation.
Governor Abdulaziz Yari there in a down-to-earth account of what the government and people of Zamfara State have suffered in the past years. He recalled an incident.
There was a time also in one day, over 230 people were killed.
But under President Muhammadu Buhari, the presence of government was felt, in his words.
President is magnanimity, not even sending. He organized in 2016 Army Administration Day in Zamfara State, and he wears soldiers' uniform for Zamfara people for Nigeria.
The Information and Culture Minister had told the governor that statistics have it that the killing in Zamfara,
unknown to many, what we face in Zamfara is probably worse than what is being faced in Benue, Taraba, and Plateau combined. But because of our traducers who are insistent on putting a religious and ethnic spin on an issue that is sometimes more of demography, environment, and most times sheer criminality. The attention that ought to be put on Zamfara is not being put there.
The visit to the governor was prelude to the special town hall meeting held in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital. Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, has implored Nigerians to support the present administration in its genuine desire to bring the farmers, herders, clashes and other forms of criminality to an end.
He was speaking when the leadership of the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria and the Association of Christian Traditional Rulers of Nigeria visited him in Abuja. National Security Advisor Major General Babagana Monguno said, although conflict is part of human existence, it must not be allowed to continue unabated. He further restates the commitment of the Buhari administration to protecting the lives and property of all Nigerians.
Will serve no one any form of good. It is in this regard that I urge every party in this conflict to embrace all government initiatives to ensure peaceful coexistence and a secure society through which our economy can thrive and our people can continue to prosper.
The leadership of the groups resolved to work together in the interests of peace.
While we present ourselves as ready messengers of peaceful coexistence of Nigeria, we plead most sincerely that you lend your weighty voice in supporting our mission in the interest of the generality of Nigerians.
We want to promote and make sure that these massive killings in all the 6 geopolitical zones stops completely, and it is possible. We have our strategies already.
The group also resolved to visit major flash points of insecurity across the country.
Now, let's talk about flooding in some communities across the country. They say to be forewarned is to be forearmed. People living along the River Benue banks are again warned to move to safer grounds as the river's water level is fast rising. Already, some areas along the river's route are experiencing flash floods. This is even before the release of the water from the Lagdo Dam. In Adamawa State, the police is advising people to move before Saturday. Ladibala, who is monitoring the situation, says while government is doing everything to safeguard lives and property in the event of the looming threat, there are those with nonchalant disposition who are bent on making sure the situation catches them unprepared.
It is almost a month since the Cameroonian Authority intimated Nigerian government of its decision to release excess water from the Lagdo Dam so as to avoid collapse of the dam and disaster on both nations. Disaster, whether natural or man-made, often comes with negative consequences on victims. A visit to part of River Benue in Adamawa State reveals increase in the volume of water, a flow that cannot be stopped as it finds its way, clearing everything on its path in coming days.
This perhaps explains why government and relevant stakeholders have been harping on the need for those living along riverine and flood-prone areas to relocate to safer ground to avoid Hadaino or colossal loss.
As it is, the State Emergency Management Agency has since embarked on sensitizing the people, and efforts to relocate them to safer ground is on ground. The Nigerian Police, Adamawa State Command, on its part, has issued out a warning to all those residing along the river line to relocate before 15 September 2018 in their own interest.
Right now, we have also identified some safer areas in all the 7 local governments, starting from Fufore down to Lamorde.
About 7 local government areas will be directly affected in Adamawa State by the release of water from Lagdo Dam. In Eola, Ladibala, NTA News.
We hope those affected will heed to the call. And 2 years ago, the people of Amauzam, Amagunze in Nkanu East local government area of Enugu State were proud beneficiaries of a government project of multiple culverts across Inyaba River, reconnecting communities that were hitherto cut off. Today, the communities are back to square one, so to say, as they are again cut off by the river despite the construction of the culverts. Susan Eze visited the area and brought back the situation report.
This is part of River Niger here in Esako Central Local Government area, where some of the riverine communities are situated. The river is less than 20 meters away from the community. The communities affected are Anebete, Udaba, Osomegbe, Ugochi, Ofukpo, Agbabu, and Ifeko, with over 1,000 houses submerged and properties worth several millions of naira destroyed. Despite the challenges and dangers posed by the natural disaster, some of the residents seem less concerned as the disaster has become an annual issue with little or no interest to relocate out of the area.
People say where they sick now, where they carry go hospital that day because of hypertension.
So why did you not go to where the government has?
We were to go there. No road for us to go there.
Back now, go borrow this money. Me I take the do farm. Now come me say my farm, I not get farm again.
The Esako Central Local Government Authority has cleaned up the federal government resettlement camp in Ogomeri, built by the flood committee to relocate those displaced.
We are not even taking chances at all to resettle our people. We understand what they are going through. We have also embarked on sensitization campaign.
Hundreds of families in Ilushi community, east and southeast, also in Edo State, have been sacked from their homes as River Niger overflows its banks.
Look at our children. We have nothing to feed them.
A federal lawmaker, Sergius Ogun, was in the area to get first-hand information. He is worried and calls for immediate help for the people to cope with the situation.
We have sent a letter to NEMA to bring food, to bring mattresses, and all to this community.
Benin is also having its fair share of flooding, and the people say, with no sign of the rain subsiding soon, there may be tougher times ahead.
Every landlord and landlady in this environment, they are now homeless.
Meanwhile, the state government has issued warnings to those in the flood-prone areas, including Ovia Northeast, Ovia South, Esako East, Esako Central, and Ikpoba Oha, to relocate to safer areas provided by government. Victor Odion Acha, NTA News.
Indeed, the flood is ravaging communities in Edo State. Victor Odion Acha there. We earlier told you that the people of Amauzam, Amagunze in Kano East local government area of Enugu State are also counting their losses, as Susan Eze tells us.
No matter the obstacle in its path, water must find its natural course, and Inyaba River promptly obeyed that natural rule when it totally washed off the sandfield created during the construction of the multiple culverts. With their joy short-lived, life around the Inyaba River has become burdensome for residents of Amozam, Ohwani, Amagunze, and other communities that ply the route. They lament that whenever it rains, students can no longer access the only secondary school in the area. Neither can the people get to the Eke Amagunze market to sell their farm produce.
It's supposed not to be covered, it's supposed to be bridged. Because if it is bridged, we will consider the length. The length will be sizable enough to accommodate the volume of the water.
I'm appealing to the government to come and rescue us from that bondage.
Though these wooden bridges put in place by the youths come handy as palliatives, the problem is far from being solved, as several casualties and, in worst cases, death have been recorded from people who attempt to cross the bridge. The people are therefore appealing to relevant authorities for the completion of the Amagunze Amechi Dodo Road, which traverses the Inyaba River, for easy access to the local government headquarters through the Enugu-Abakaliki Expressway. From Amagunze in Kano East local government, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Now, there is this saying that safety does not happen by accident. While this may encapsulate a wide range of interpretations, let me quickly bring you up to speed on the rampant cases of gas explosions at dispensing depots and refilling outlets in some parts of the country, with their attendant dire consequences. Well, those involved are no longer taking it lightly going forward and are on the same page about entrenching drastic measures to block existing safety gaps in the supply chain. Joshua Ojito tells us more.
They are victims of the recent gas explosion in Lafia. It is referred to as an accident, but it may have been averted if the owners of the outlet followed diligently in repairing a leakage that persisted for days. Many people have lost their lives and properties destroyed over the years in similar circumstances of neglect. From the beginning of this year, gas explosions killed scores of people in Ikosi, Isheri, and Badagry areas of Lagos, and in Kaduna, where 15 shops were razed and one injured last July, among others, in high-density communities. The cause has always been blamed on leakages either from cylinders or tankers carrying the commodity.
Certification for such projects to be cited must be sought from relevant agencies, whereby safety is guaranteed for the generality of the public. Such projects should not be cited in the midst of people.
We should be able to give distance. And in our condition today in Nigeria, when you see something like this, you shouldn't quick to go there.
Findings show the agency of government whose responsibility is to ensure best practices in the industry is contending with operators who lack the basic knowledge to be in the business. They deploy substandard facilities for their operations. There is also the proliferation of retail outlets, which the agency findings show makes it difficult for effective supervision and enforcement.
We are going to have a complete safety audit, especially on LPG plants and facilities.
With such high risk, stakeholders are advocating for the review of town planning laws, inciting gas plants and outlets.
I've just directed that the committee should meet with me so that we will review the locational approvals of all these volatile businesses.
But can this initiative be replicated in parts of the country, as the general consensus among stakeholders is for the regulatory agencies to enforce compliance in order to avert gas explosion again in any part of Nigeria?
It is always evident that a stitch in time always saves 9. And while the utilization of gas is cutting down other means to fuel domestic and industrial needs, it is also pertinent for the operators to play the game according to the rules. In Lafia, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Let's talk about matters that concern our health. Now, experts have often warned about the harmful effects of air pollution. But could it be more serious than previously reported? Hingino John Adams has been looking into a report that says air pollution could reduce the lifespan of an individual. Take a look.
And have been in the business of roasting meat and chicken locally, known as suya, for over 20 years in this little room. They do not for one moment consider the smoke that emanates from the processing as bad for them. Yusuf Jibrin, one of the young men, speaks on his experience.
25 years, we have been doing this business for the past 25 years, and the smoke has never affected our health.
Researchers have since made the link, but the result of recent research indicates that it could be more serious. It suggests that air pollution reduces global life expectancy by months or even years, as well as the level of intelligence by 1 year.
Most of these chemicals and gases, they are harmful and injurious to human health. Talking about their effect on the central nervous system, the respiratory system, the gastrointestinal system.
80% of the world's population could be affected because they live in areas where the air quality exceeds the World Health Organization guideline limits.
You have all the so-called particulate matters, and they are all airborne. They could be attached to some dust. In the course of it, you are inhaling fine particles.
Highly industrialized cities like Lagos could be worst hit because of the considerable scale of activities, which include emission of gases and chemicals from heavy industries, offensive stench emanating from heaps of waste, fumes from generating sets, and carbon monoxide emission from the huge number of cars often caught in traffic for hours daily.
Air pollution has been linked, with cancer, cardiovascular disease, cerebrovascular accidents, premature deliveries.
Air is good. No one can survive without it. Just as it sustains life, it can snuff out life when it becomes toxic and inhaled over a long period. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
And health is wealth, undisputable. Funny enough, everybody knows this, but many do not take it serious. Otherwise, why would Nigerians create a conducive environment for diseases to thrive? Take a look at Sokoto. Despite government's effort to keep the environment free and keep malaria at bay, heaps of refuse are common sight, and you know how that affects the health. Mohammed Nasser quotes experts as saying these refuse dumps are fantastic breeding grounds for mosquitoes.
July to October every year is perceived to be a malaria-burden period and is characterized by a high rate of infection of the scourge in communities. In Sokoto State, health facilities receive higher cases of malaria, especially among children. One of the contributing factors to malaria infection, according to experts, is dirty environment. In Sokoto metropolis, heaps of refuse have become a common sight, and whenever it rains, the situation turns to breeding grounds for mosquitoes and capable of causing outbreak of diseases.
This debris or refuse that it constitutes really is a breeding ground for microorganisms.
Stagnant water as a result of blockage of drainages serve as a breeding place for mosquito, which is a factor for malaria infection. However, Sokoto State government is currently desilting drainages along major streets in Sokoto State. Sokoto State government says refuse evacuation remains a routine exercise, hence the need for people in the state to desist from indiscriminate dumping of refuse. NTA News, however, observed that many areas in the metropolis lack official refuse bunkers.
And that is why, if you observed, we are currently embarking on a special exercise so that we will speed off the normal refuse evacuation we embark on.
In view of the higher rate of malaria infection during this period, government engaged in seasonal chemo-malaria prevention therapy targeting children under the age of 5. The exercise is scheduled to be carried out in 4 months, in addition to provision of drugs for treatment of malaria free at health facilities.
The procurement of this
medicines was made and put in the health facilities, 525 health facilities specifically, to ensure that all those that were infected with malaria can reach those health facilities.
Available statistics at the Sokoto State Malaria Elimination Agency indicates that there is a reduction in cases of malaria in 2018 compared to 2017. In Sokoto, Muhammad Nasir, NTA News.
Let's try and keep our environment clean. Now, up ahead, some business and business-related stories. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Some have sense and cannot think. Some can think but have no sense. Sister, good morning. I have everything. Can you come to my store? This is beautiful. She's using my Kumago to take my customer. So we will do something. 50% discount. Hey! Thank you. Madam,
please come inside.
Shut up your mouth.
So you don't know that with low orgasm, you can upload your market and get as many customers as you want?
You useless! I said, you begin where you come. You get great.
With Glow Orgasm, enjoy 125% more data to get.
Some have sense and cannot think. Some can think but have no sense.
Discover the liquid freshness of Center Fresh chewing gum that you feel. And others too. Center Fresh. Trust the freshness.
I can taste the real chicken.
Don't worry, Abba. It's not your chicken.
It's the Sedap Supreme Chicken Essence that gives it the supreme chicken taste. Be Supreme, Nigeria.
Helen!
Your kitchen gets 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
This also gets a 10. Should we see the toilet now?
Sure.
This gets just 1.
It is clean.
But not perfect 10.
Better than my detergent and bleach? Impossible.
Challenge? Try the new Apic 10X.
Compared to bleach and detergent, Apic sticker formulation removes yellow stains times better, giving you a sparkling clean toilet.
Wow.
Now you also take that
Apic 10X challenge.
Also available in 200 ml pack.
Well, when I was growing up, it wasn't an easy thing for us because my parents were struggling. That's why when I started playing basketball, I need to play, I need to struggle, I need to achieve. I want to make something out of it. I graduated from the Milo Secondary School Games to the Senior League. Then they called me that I should come and play Junior World Cup qualifiers. Following here, I was invited to the Senior National Team. I've been awarded as the most valuable player 5 times. My teammates, they made it possible. Basketball, they gave me the opportunity to have my own basketball camp, giving back to the society. Because you know what you've passed through. I need to show the kids that basketball really changed my life. My name is Nkechi, and this is our journey.
Nestle, good food, good life.
Thank you for staying with us on News Extra. Talking business now, equities market closed midweek on a negative note with the all-share index depreciating further. For this and more on business news segment, let's join Hamaka Owo.
This remain a veritable challenge for economic growth in the country, and significantly
ability for more eyes to see it. That's what it affords you. But our standard of delivery, our standard of quality of delivery has to increase so that we can compete with those that are out there. Because the challenge will be if we don't get to increase our standard of delivery, then we're going to be squashed by the people that we go to meet on those platforms.
If you're not creating enough jobs to create employment and so on, then people have to be entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurship for me is the key to the future of this country.
Still on growing small businesses, industrial analysts say economic prosperity is also derived from the development of the macroeconomic sector.
About ensuring that businesses that have transcended the challenges of the startup phase and are mid-size do not fail, as we have observed tends to be the case. For a lot of people, entrepreneurship is no longer a choice, it's imposed.
Integrity is critical, and that to build the business, for it to thrive and all, you need to be innovative. Okay, so that's to do with sustainability, and to do with succession, you need to be able to transit. You're building transgenerational businesses, so it's about sustainability. It's being about thriving and then extending this thriving to the next generation.
We now bring you graphic details of trading in stocks today. Stock Markets concludes business news segment. News Extra continues shortly. Stay with us.
Thank you, Amaka. The Nigerian incentive-based risk-sharing system for agricultural lending is leading stakeholders in conversation to further develop the secured agricultural commodity transport corridor. It is an innovative system for fixing the key challenges facing the transportation of agricultural produce and products across the country. Leah Katumba Batunde reports that the meeting is aimed at producing a joint framework and policy advocacy strategy for SATC.
Post-harvest losses in Nigeria is estimated to cost about $8.9 billion, according to the Nigerian Stored Products Research Institute. These losses are propelled by poor infrastructure along the value chain to cater for the need of attaining viability in agriculture. NISAL, through the Secured Agricultural Commodity Transport Corridor (SATC), is seeking to further reduce these losses, now put at 60% of all agricultural produce.
The transport of agricultural commodities relies on that infrastructure. If that backbone were not in place like we see happening now, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about a secured corridor. The corridor relies on what the government is doing, and we're very pleased.
We support this initiative, and we are going to cooperate with right policies.
NISAL's objective for developing and proposing the SATC model is to address bottlenecks in the movement of agricultural produce and consequently reduce wastages resulting from late evacuation of particularly perishables from the farms.
That will make more money into our farmers. That's what, as a government, we are here for.
We have a very good model that we started, the case study we did in Anambra State. It worked very well.
This technical session brought together policymakers, private sector players, as well as security agencies and transporters to brainstorm on how to make the framework a reality.
This gives assurance of the government's commitment in accordance with the President's main thrust to revive and rejuvenate agriculture.
The implementation is envisaged to reduce the prices of food commodities, enhance food security, and increase the contribution of the agriculture sector to Nigeria's GDP. I'm Lekating Babatunde, NTA News.
Now, do you know that when you are number one in what you do, it's a big deal? Do you also know that when you are recognized as the best in the whole of West Africa, it's a bigger deal? Well, this is about Binani Printing Press, whose quest for quality and efficient service delivery has propelled the West African Council for Merit Awards, Washington, D.C., to celebrate the Binani Printing Press as the best in West Africa. Serafina Okon tells us more.
Established about 10 years ago, the Banana Printing Press has grown from being a micro-business to a multi-billionaire investment, providing printing solutions to its numerous clients without compromising on its standards. The printing press has employed over 50 people in different departments of the company. Aminatu Dahiru Chiruma, the Chief Executive Officer of Benane, says the printing press, having demonstrated the highest standards of excellence as the most innovative company, bags the Printing Press of the Year award in West Africa.
This one just came in naturally, assuring Benane that, look, you guys have been recognized on your achievement and standard and excellence that you build within the printing industry. This thing doesn't come easy, but really in this operations, we take it quite natural because we take it as part and parcels of operation. You have to be of this standard. You have to operate in a certain manner. It doesn't have to come with effort. It has to flow naturally. So that's our culture for now.
A tour of the establishment confirms the highly polished and very seasoned professionals who work as a dynamic team to nurture and promote clients' loyalty without losing focus on excellent customer service delivery.
To any emerging sector within the industry, printing press is one of the emerging sectors, and if we are to be given such recognition, I think many more should do. Really, that's what I feel right today.
No doubt, the tradition of excellence is being played out over the years as Benane in Nigeria adheres to processes in line with industry standards and best practices obtainable anywhere in the world. Serafina Okon, NTA News.
Now, the Nigerian Export-Import Bank has earmarked 1 billion naira to finance the production and exportation of sesame crop in Katsina State as part of efforts to diversify Nigeria's economy from oil and gas as the main foreign exchange earners. The managing director of Nexim Bank, Abba Bello, disclosed this when he paid a working visit to Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari at the Government House. Correspondent Bashir Bala reports.
Nigerian Import-Export Bank has set up State Export Development Fund with the aim to identify and finance strategic export agricultural products across the country. The managing director says Nexim Bank, under the fund, has earmarked 37 billion naira for the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, to support primary production and the exportation of exportable commodities. He said Katsina State was selected to pilot the scheme with 1 billion naira to support the exportation of sesame crop before the end of this year's harvest season. Abba Bello explained that the 1 billion naira earmarked to kickstart the project in Katsina State will be distributed to grassroots farmers at concessional interest rates using the federal government's anchor borrowers model.
We are going to boost the production of the commodity, and by doing that you are creating jobs, okay? And in the long run, not only Katsina State, but the national economy as a whole benefits from the growth, expected growth in export of commodities from Nigeria into the global market.
Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari described the initiative as a welcome development, noting that anything that promotes agriculture upgrades the living standards of the people. In Katsina, Bishir Bala, NTA News.
Coming up next is happiness. I'm sure you're wondering what I mean by that. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll tell you.
When it comes to 30,000 naira, 30,000 naira to somebody is 1 million naira.
I just applied online. I did not know anybody.
I'm under carpenting. I was given saw, bar, tenant saw, hammer.
Federal government is able to mobilize me by giving me one iPad to aid me in carrying out my exercise.
So the money that was given to me, I was able to establish some little farm, and this building we are standing on.
I also have a goat that I train.
But with the exception of the Empower, I've been able to do some little contribution that have actually helped me to put the money together and been able to service people.
My thanks goes to the President, President Muhammadu Buhari, for this thing that he has done for the youth of Nigeria. So we are grateful.
brought us as usual.
As usual.
Mm.
You have no problem.
For the three
You are welcome, sir.
as usual, yeah?
Welcome. You take that one.
Yes.
Take that one. You don't understand? We want Nigerian homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have. You don't have.
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice.
Are you sorry?
That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. Mobu to come to chocolate rice of made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made.
Correct.
And how they are cook it.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It boosts our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Experience, they say, is the best teacher.
They hold us from the sea. Thank God that we came back home. They should not go there because it's not good. It's a very bad place. So they just my advice.
Even now, sir, if they are shooting the boat they are going to use to go Italy, may they stop it. Our country is good. Our country is a blessed country. Now I know our country is a blessed country. I know before I for not travel from Nigeria to Libya. I know how much I spent.
Let these personal experiences serve as a lesson to all who would repeat their mistakes. A word is enough for the wise.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
This is NTA News Extra, and we thank you for staying with us. Now, NTA has reiterated commitment to staff discipline and fostering of the enabling environment to sustain the pedigree of the organization as a broadcast pace setter. Director General NTA Yakubu Ibn Mohammed gave the assurance while declaring open a two-day conference of NTA heads of administration in Port Harcourt. Ifoma Homesa reports.
The conference is designed to internalize the values of discipline in human resource development and administration on staff of the organization. Director General NTA Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, represented by Executive Director Administration and Training, Dr. Steve Egbu, said the participants must strive to be efficient while carrying out their duties, stressing that NTA, as watchdog of the society, must not be found wanting.
Everybody should show more commitment, more genuineness in improving the quality, the accentuation of NTA.
NTA Director Administration Tunde Oluwatodemu and the Acting Zonal Director NTA Port Harcourt, Cecilia Essien, are optimistic that the conference will usher a new sense of staff commitment to duty.
We expect all participants to go back to their stations and improve on their services to NTA.
Some few weeks ago, we were given many equipments. What can we do to a management that is so responsive to the problems of this station, other than to play host to a conference of this magnitude?
Participants are drawn from NTA stations across the country. In Port Harcourt, Ifoma Omesa, NTA News.
Now, Imo State is deliberately creating happiness. There is no doubt that happiness is when what you think, say, and do are in harmony. When these are not in consonance, those who allow little things to upset them become sad and then develop tendencies to harm others. This is one of the reasons Imo State created the ministry, which Adebola Brookslyn Sunday tells us in this report.
Every day, man have many cause to get hungry due to stress or irritation. But one's reactions to these negative emotions to a greater extent will translate to either happiness or sadness. Imo State made history as the first state in the country when it created the Ministry of Happiness and Purpose Fulfillment. NTA crew visited the state to ascertain the impact of the commission in the lives of the people.
The art of being happy, scholars say, lies in the power
of extracting happiness from every simple thing. This power is what the state government is giving to the Imo people by establishing the Ministry of Happiness and Purpose Fulfillment.
The ministry itself is a nice one, so that those who were on a high tension to act things negatively, they can calm down.
By creation of this ministry, they will come and let their complaint the area they are unhappy.
It will help the youths that are on drugs to calm their spirits down.
Governor Rochas Okorocha explained the reason he established the commission.
What to create the consciousness of the people to be happy. In Imo now, gradually they're becoming happy, even made customers, and fulfill purpose in life, which most people lack.
From Owerri, the crew proceeded to Onimo, about 1 hour drive away from the city center, where we met the Commissioner for Happiness, Ogechi Ololo, flagging off data collection and profiling of residents to put smiles on their faces.
We are expected to collect the data of the poor and the vulnerable in the communities.
The ministry, through the Commission of Happiness, have impacted over 5,000 lives.
Injustice makes the family unhappy.
Ogechi Ololo said the impact of the commission is enormous.
We have reached out to so many Imo lives. For example, when the Libya people were deported or returnees, I was the one that received them and gave them a soft landing by understanding where they're coming from and telling them where there's no need for us to judge them or condemn them. We accepted them, we received them as queens and kings. So we are the voice for the voiceless.
If happiness radiates like the fragrance from a flower and draws all good things to the beholder, should this commission be replicated nationwide? A question begging for an answer. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Imo people, happy people. Now, every culture has its customs and peculiar ways that makes it unique from others and endears people to it. You'll be surprised that Borno State, which the insurgents have tried to bring to its knees, is still proud of its name, Borno Kiji, meaning a place of happiness and enjoyment in Kanuri language. Let's go over to Maiduguri and hear about it from Jumai Yusuf.
Like a jewel of inestimable value, Borno, at the height of Canon Borno might, remained a center of socio-economic and religious contact with empires in the West, North Africa, Sudan, and nations beyond the Mediterranean, maintaining a rightful place in the sub-Saharan trade.
When Borno was having an established, structured, administration in terms of political, military, social, and economic, even the Great Britain was just, starting up. So therefore, Borno became so great, and because of the resilience and the attitude of its leaders of accepting everyone.
Today, Borno serves as a principal trading hub in Nigeria and Africa, bringing together people from all over the country and beyond, cutting across ethnic, religious, and tribal lines. Maiduguri, the state capital, is a city with a cosmopolitan population, engaging in lawful business and living peacefully, as most of the settlers from within and outside Nigeria have adapted the culture and language. Thus, it is not unusual to hear them use the phrase Borno Kiji to describe Borno.
Borno Kiji, Kermade, Lewa Napkata.
Yoro Angala de Ai, Borno Kiji de Ai. Okami Mostetin. Soro Werwa, Sayan Fiakan Nadan Kasudikin.
Although the insurgency has taken its toll on the state, but with appreciable peace being restored to Maiduguri, the state capital, population has doubled as people are returning to pick up the businesses and lives they left behind at the peak of the insurgency. This is a clear indication that Borno is indeed the home of peace and hospitality. Thus, Borno Kiji, a place of comfort and joy, infrastructural development and provision of social amenities despite the challenges of the Boko Haram insurgency.
It won't be out of place if you describe the phrase Borno Kiji as multifaceted, taking into account the endowment abound in the state, such as its rich cultural heritage, food, attire, and most especially its unique hospitality to people, especially visitors. In Maiduguri, Jumai Yusuf, NTA News.
Thank you, Jumai. Indeed, the people of Borno State are known for their hospitality, and because of their accommodating spirit, their doors are always open to strangers. Hope so far so good for you. We're not done yet. Find out if you need an umbrella tomorrow or a canoe to get out of your house on the weather report. We'll be right back.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Thank you for staying with us on News Extra. Now, law to criminalize violence against women takes effect in Morocco, and Adamo also has details of this and more from news around the world.
Thank you and welcome to this segment of the news. We start in Africa, where rockets were reportedly fired at Libya's only functional airport, the Mitiga Airport, Tripoli, late Tuesday, forcing flight to be diverted. The airport was only reopened last Friday, following a week-long closure due to fighting between militias in and around the city. There was no report of casualties or material damage as a result of the attack. Officials say all Tripoli-bound flights are being rerouted. Tripoli has been gripped by a wave of violence recently as rival troops struggled to gain control of the capital city. And in Morocco, a new law criminalizing violence against women came into effect on Wednesday. Approved by Parliament in February, the bill imposes tougher penalties on perpetrators of various types of violence committed both in private and public spheres, including rape, sexual harassment, and domestic abuse. Locally known as Sakawi, the legislation also defines the offenses of sexual harassment to include unsolicited acts or statements delivered in person, online, or via telephone. Those found guilty of violating the laws face prison terms ranging from 1 month to 5 years, along with fines. And to Europe now, the European Parliament has voted to pursue unprecedented disciplinary action against Hungary over alleged breaches of its core values. Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government has been accused of attacks on the media, minorities, and the rule of law, charges which he denies. The first of such votes against a member state under EU rules is backed by more than 2/3 of MPs. If eventually approved by national leaders, Hungary could face punitive measures, including the stripping of its right of voting at the EU level. And thank you for watching. That is all we have on this segment.
Talking sports now, 19th National Sports Festival logo and mascot